All right, so I've got a quick video to play, just basically so you have a visual of what it actually is, what it's doing, rather than me explaining it. I know having a visual helps me, so it's just like a minute long.
The freeze dryer freezes the food to 40 degrees below zero. The vacuum pump automatically turns on and creates a powerful vacuum around the food. As the trays gradually warm, while the food is still frozen, a process called sublimation occurs, which removes water from the food. This is what allows the food to keep its original shape, flavor, and nutrition. The process takes between 20 to 36 hours. Smart sensors determine when the food is completely dry and alert you with a beep. The process is entirely automatic.
Yeah, so that's like really, really simple, bare bones explanation. That's basically what it is. So yeah, it's like one of the easiest methods of preserving food, but it's also like, one of the most expensive at the same time. So I'll just go over really quickly kind of my setup, what I do. So I just use Mylar bags, and I just use an oxygen absorber here. And whatever I freeze dry, I put in the Mylar bag, throw an oxygen absorber in, and then it's good to go for, depending on what it is, like fruits and veggies can last up to 25 years. So you can have that wherever. So it's completely dry, all the moisture is taken out. As long as you have an oxygen absorber in there and there's no oxygen in the bag at all, it's going to last for a very long time. So I can go over with you just there is stuff that won't work in it. So we'll go over what works and what doesn't. Like oily foods don't really work. You don't want to do like peanut butter, butter really at all. Chocolate doesn't really do well. I've done some stuff. Like some candies and stuff with with chocolate, like some will work. Little Mars bars work, surprisingly. They just kind of blow up and it's kind of cool, but it generally chocolate avoid. Like honey syrups and jams, they're too sugary. They just kind of don't reconstitute well. We'll talk about that as well. Bread, like bread, cake, and muffins you don't want to do. Because one of the main things with this is reconstituting the food if you want to eat it again, right? So let's say you do burgers, for example. You can do meat in here. So you do burgers. If you want to reconstitute it, you just add water and it'll reconstitute to a burger again, right? Bread, you can imagine you're just dumping water on bread. It's just going to get really soggy. Like, it's possible, but do you want to? Probably not.
And can you say more about the fat? Like let's say you took peanut butter. Tell us more about that process, like why it doesn't work per se.
It's just because it's basically just the oil. Like it doesn't. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it doesn't dry out well. Like it just kind of. There's some stuff that just will not. The process just doesn't work on it.
The oil will eventually go rancid.
Yeah.
Whatever you just taste disgusting as well.
Yeah. So there you go. So another thing, fruits and vegetables are awesome for this thing. Like for example, I'll just talk about a little bit what I generally do. So let's say I do strawberries on here. They're awesome, freeze dried. You want to slice things up, basically. So if you throw a strawberry whole on there, it'll work probably, but it's going to take a lot longer. And the machine's going to be working a lot harder because just think about it, really, it's trying to get that moisture out. So the more you chop it up, there's more room for that moisture to leave the food, right? So little things like that. So if you're doing carrots or whatever, like you would chop them up and then.
Will the cycles be less than the smaller portions you have?
So basically you'd want to fill the trays Cycles, so if you can pre-freeze things. So what I do, I'll layer my trays, and then I have these little things. I didn't bring them, but they're stackers, and you can stack the trays, so they'll sit like this. And then I put them in my freezer, so then I pre-freeze them, so then the freezing cycle is way less. So you can put food in this thing fresh and frozen, but if you do pre-freeze it, it's less work on the machine, and it's gonna be quicker, because it is a long process. Like it takes, I don't know, 30 to maybe 20 to 30 hours for some things. Candy's a different story. We could talk about that too. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. You gotta have some, right? You can. Yeah. So that's just a little rule. Just chop stuff up. It's gonna work a lot better. The times aren't really set in stone. Like there's no like exact time it's gonna come out at 20 hours every single time. It kind of varies. So yeah, it can do meat. I don't think meat's like a 25-year thing, but it is like several years. Like I was reading like 12 to 15, like stuff like that. It won't hurt you if you eat it. It's gonna be good, right? So you can also do meat raw or cooked. I haven't really done much raw. I've only ever cooked things. Like I've cooked chicken, like just chicken breasts, sliced them up, and put them in there. Came out completely dry, awesome. Burgers, like stewing beef was really good. Cooked ground beef, put that. So I've done a lot of meat. So yeah, we talked about pre-freezing. I generally always pre-freeze stuff. So talk about storing. Can store things in lots of different ways, but the cheapest way is generally Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber. So whatever size the Mylar bag, you just look at what oxygen absorber you would use for that size of bag. So for mine I use half-gallon bags. So then I think it's 200 cc's for an oxygen absorber, but I just throw a 300 cc in there, and then, yep. I'll throw actually, can we do that? There's a chart, an oxygen absorber chart there. You can just find this online. So there's my half-gallon there. So I'll just put a 300 for everything, and then I know it's gonna be good. Yep, yeah, I can do that too. So these.
No problem with over-absorption, like putting a 500 cc bag into one that only needs 100 cc. It's not like that's a problem, right? It's the reverse that's a problem.
Yeah, it'd be the reverse, right? Because then it's not sucking up all the oxygen, so then you still got oxygen there, and then it's gonna, yeah, it won't stay good. So yeah, these you can just find this online pretty easily. You can get these.
We're just going to quickly say, if you've got questions, it's great for recording it, so if you can use the mic, or, yeah, just so that, or repeat the question.
Okay, yep, sure. So these, I would just get on Amazon, oxygen absorbers. Like you can get, what I don't recommend though, you'll see packs of, they'll just be like a big bag of 100. Don't buy those, because as soon as you cut that open to take one out, you're now letting oxygen into that whole bag of absorbers, you know what I mean? So what we do, I'll try and get packs of 5 or packs of 10, and then I take one and seal it right away, and they generally are fine. But don't get the big 100 packs, because yeah, might not be great. So yeah, that's my setup. You can also, so first thing you want to make sure it's completely dry. Like just kind of test it. It'll most things will crumble almost. So you want to make sure it's actually done. The machine generally knows when things are done, but you can set it so you can put extra dry time. So let's say I have to do something, or I have to be out of the house. I'll set this machine to run for another like 12 hours or something, just so it's still drying while I'm out, and then I can come home and deal with it when I can deal with it. So it's great for that too. Let's see what else we got here. So yeah, Mylar bags are the cheapest by far. Like these things are 10 cents, maybe, like super cheap for a bag. And then absorbers are generally incredibly cheap as well. So that's the cheapest. You can also do like canning jars. You can do it that way. Just store it in a dark basement or whatever, right? A pantry if you have it. You can vacuum seal as well. The main thing is you just don't want to, like once it comes out of the machine, you don't want to leave it out in the open too long, because then you're allowing moisture back in it, right? So you don't have to like race, obviously. It's not going to like completely rehydrate or whatever on you, but like don't leave it out for hours. Like if you're going to put it away right when you take it out. There's no rush, but just make sure you have time to get it done right when it's done running. So yeah, you can vacuum seal if you want. Other things like just for snacks and stuff, I'm gonna let you guys try some later. We're gonna compare them with my mom's. Just some freeze-dried apples. You can compare them with dehydrated apples, see what's better. So you can just use like a resealable jar or something, as long as there's a bunch of moisture and oxygen getting in there. You can just store stuff like that in there and just snack on it, right, if you want, because a lot of stuff doesn't need to be reconstituted. It's just generally really awesome freeze-dried, like apples, any fruit. Like if you've got kids, it's like candy to them. They love it, and it's just healthy candy at that point. They're just eating fruit. So like apples and stuff, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, bananas are really good. They're just generally awesome freeze-dried. So I just kind of eat them like that. What else can we talk about here? So rehydrating, I guess we can talk about. Yeah, basically it's adding water. We can play that video that just goes over. She rehydrates a couple things. Yeah, play this for you guys.
It's so easy to take the food that you freeze-dried and create a meal for your family. Let's take the scalloped potatoes and ham I freeze-dried earlier. I'll show you how quickly you can have dinner on the table. I'll start with the potatoes. I'll open one of our sealed bags and empty the amount of potatoes I'll need into my cooking dish. To rehydrate, just add enough hot water to bring the potatoes to the consistency you want. The ham is next. To rehydrate that, I'll just pour hot water into a bowl and submerge the ham long enough for the meat to rehydrate and warm. It only takes a few minutes. Everything looks and smells amazing. Let's see. The potatoes and ham taste exactly the way they did before I freeze-dried them. They are so delicious. They would taste the same whether they were freeze-dried 20 years ago or 1 month ago. And the best part is, the food maintains nearly all of its nutritional value. Since we have leftovers in the bag, I'll put a new oxygen absorber in the bag and reseal it. Harvest Right's home freeze dryer gives you the ability to preserve produce from gardens and fruit trees, preserve full meals and foods your family loves to eat, and create your own food storage. To learn about these benefits and more, visit our website at harvestright.com. That's it for now. Check out our other videos for more tips on how you can make the most of your Harvest Right freeze dryer.
So yeah, she rehydrates, like it looks kind of gross. Like she has to do ham, of course, and scallop potatoes. But I mean, yeah, you get the idea. It's as simple as that. You're just adding water until it comes back to its natural form, how it is, how you would eat it, and you just kind of add enough till it's at that consistency. That's how it should be. So you can also do like dairy with these. You can't really dehydrate dairy, right? Like, so you can do things like ice cream is super good. Sour cream. I've done eggs quite a bit. So I have some chickens in my backyard, so we'll freeze it. I was getting a ton of eggs at one point, so I would just scramble them, pour it on a tray, and then I've got eggs if I want them. So we've got a ton of eggs right now. You can do cheese. Just same idea. You want to slice it or chop it up or whatever, right? Or grate it. You can do herbs in this thing. I've never tried herbs. Also, I'm not an expert. I'm just an enthusiast for freeze drying. So I'll do my best to answer most of your questions. But yeah. So what else can I tell you guys? I can just tell you guys a little bit about my experience, I guess. So we can go over anyone who knows anything about these. You probably know they're extremely expensive. So it's great because it's the easiest. It really is the easiest method for food preservation and storage. It lasts the longest. It keeps the most nutrition. So it holds 98% of the nutritional value of the food. It keeps that. So dehydrating, I think it goes down to about 60, and then canning, it's about 40. It goes lower as you go down the different methods, but freeze drying, if that's important to you, you're going to keep pretty much all the nutritional value of your food. So that's pretty cool. So they are expensive. Another thing I forgot to mention, this impulse sealer would come with it if you bought it. So that just seals the bag with heat. So I use a Mylar bag, throw the oxygen absorber in, then I just seal it with this, and that's my entire process really. So since I'm not a Harvest Right spokesman, I can tell you the truth about these things. Sometimes it's a little bit different than, yeah, everything just works great all the time. No. Not true. So I've been fairly blessed with these things. They haven't given me problems, but I know of people who have had, I know of a guy personally, it took him, I think it was 11 months to get his machine running properly, okay? And you're spending, so this machine, a medium generally, I think it's around $4,000, okay? And then this is the oil-free pump here. So you can get the oil pump, which is just, I haven't actually used yet. I have one, but I've just been using the oil-free. So there's no maintenance on it. There's no oil changes. You don't have to really do anything. The other one, you just have to change the oil on it every, I think it's like 23, but yeah, they discontinued the first pump they have. So that one's no longer even available. So now they just have yes? So when they discontinued it, I'm actually not sure. I think it was probably within the last year, because I've only been doing this for like. Okay. Yeah, so if you didn't get the green Premier oil pump, black, okay, so you probably have the original one. So what I always tell people if they're gonna get one, so this pump here, the oil free, it's awesome, works great. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do oil changes, but it's like another $1,000 or more, 1,000 to 1,500. I forget the actual number, but it's expensive. What I didn't know when I bought it was, I guess, at 8,000 hours of use, which is a lot, but still, they want you to send it in to do maintenance on it. So it's advertised as maintenance free, but they then want you to send it in, and then they'll send it back to you. So there was things I found out after, which were kind of disappointing. Works great, but yeah, I don't know how their QA department is. Maybe it's looking a little better. I don't know if there's any other companies really making machines like this right now, like that are mass produced, and actually it does work awesome. I haven't really had much issue. I have another one. This is the medium. So here we'll go over this real quick. So this is the size of the medium tray. That's what you're looking at. You get 4 of them. So you can put 4 of these trays in here. The large, like just to compare, that's the difference there. Okay, it's quite a big difference. The large, the thing is, it depends on the size of your family or whatever, right? Like, if you've got a big family and you wanna preserve a lot of food at once, like the large is awesome. It does do a whole lot more. Where was I going with that?
Different size machines.
Yeah, so my large, basically it's all in it's your personal preference, right? The size of your family, how much food you want to do at once. So I was going somewhere with that. So another, I can go over one just bad thing, unfortunately, but I'm going to tell you guys the truth because I'm not a salesman for this company. So I have a large machine at home, always worked awesome, didn't really have issues. It'll actually fix itself, which is pretty cool. There's a bunch of error messages that can pop up. If, like one of them, for example, mid-batch heater failure. The heaters, something's going on with the heaters, but it'll work itself out, and then it'll just stop. Other times, it didn't. So my large, I had an issue with it right after warranty was up, okay? So I had a 3-year warranty on it. Right after the 3 years, my heater relay wasn't working anymore. It wasn't shutting off, so then the machine was overheating. And so it was overheating to the point where I was upstairs, and I heard it in the basement, and there was a different beep that I'd never heard before, and it was saying, warning, turn off machine immediately. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not good. So right after warranty, I have to replace the relay board. It's not expensive, and it's not hard to do, but it's an annoyance, right? You pay thousands of dollars for this thing, and right after the warranty. So there's little things like that I'd be dishonest not to tell you guys. Like there is, but generally, it's worked great for me. But it's an investment, right? Like it's a lot of money to have to deal with stuff like that too. So, what else can I tell you guys?
What about hydro consumption?
It's actually not too bad. Like on my bill, I think it's around like each time you run it, like maybe $1 a difference on your hydro bill. Like I don't know the exact specifics or anything, but it's actually not terrible. Like it doesn't use a ton or anything.
And so between the large and the medium, do you notice the difference in hydro at all, or not really?
I couldn't tell you right now. I just got this one hooked up, so my large is now taken apart because I have to replace the relay board. And I just got this one hooked up not too long ago, and I haven't ran it a ton right now, so I can't really compare the difference. Yeah, let me see what else I can tell you guys here. Oh yeah, we can. So another thing, one reason we got this is just a little extra money, little side hustle, right? So freeze-dried candy sells like crazy. I don't know if you guys have ever had it, but especially around Christmas time, people go nuts for it. So me and my wife started a little side gig outlast freeze-dried foods. We've only made it to candy. We, just to shamelessly plug myself, we will freeze-dry stuff for you, bag it, and do that for you as well. But we sell freeze-dried candy. So that's, it sells for quite a bit. And it's relatively cheap. The bags are super cheap. You just have to buy the candy and bag it and run it through the machine. So that's another thing you can do with it, and it's really good. But for the sole purpose of spending that amount on a machine, you want to be like preserving food with it as well, right? But it is an added bonus. It's a way you can then pay off what you've spent, if that's something you want to do. So that's what we've done. It's gone pretty well. If you're on top of it, it's a great way to make little extra income. So places, if you were interested, like places, don't buy directly from Harvest Right. Like there's Canadian dealers, so you're not paying more than you should. So there's, I can write these down. If anyone's like genuinely interested, I can write it down for you and stuff. There's juicerville.ca is one. Yes. Yep. Really? What was wrong? What was wrong with it?
It didn't work.
It didn't like even turn on? Okay.
It didn't work at all. Had to go through Harvest Right. It took us 8 months to get it going.
So there's your.
Juicerville would not give us anything.
So here's the thing. So I had a different experience even. So mine came. It was actually FedEx's fault. Mine was shipped to me. The top panel was dented. It's not looking good. So I emailed Juicerville about it. They sent me a new panel right away. So but that's only a panel, right? That sounds like a major problem. That it was completely flawed.
So we bought ours 3 years ago from
Yep.
Juicerville. We turned it on, it would start the process, and then the errors would show up on the screen.
Yep.
And we contacted them, and they said, not our problem.
Yeah, because
So
they're just.
we got nothing from them, so then we contacted Harvest Right, and the reason it took 8 months was because they kept walking us through all these different computer programming.
Yep.
Do this, do that. So they were good that way.
Yeah.
And they had to eliminate all the processes. They sent us a brand new pump
Okay.
because they said, well, in case the old one is the problem. So we ended up with 2 pumps because they didn't want it back,
Yeah.
which was awesome.
Yeah.
At the end of it, they said, okay, we've done everything we needed to do. Ship it to us in Utah, and we will pay the shipping. So
Okay.
they looked after all of that. But then when it returned, the panel was dented in the top.
Oh man.
So just from the
Yeah,
shipping.
they're-
When it
yeah.
returned, the shipping was awful because we sent it, they had given us crates and the whole bit to pack it so that it was packed perfectly. We should have taken a picture when we sent it off, because when it came back, it was on a skid wrapped in plastic, and that was it, with the big cave in. But it still works. And I never took a picture, we never noticed
Yeah.
until we got it unwrapped, and it was too late.
So there's another horror story I've heard. Yeah, so I didn't have a problem until, and hopefully mine's just the relay board, that's what it sounds like. It probably is based on my own knowledge of them or whatever, but. Yeah, they're another supplier, I believe. There's also Berry Hill Farms is another supplier of them. There's Good to Go Co. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but that's another supplier. Yep, that one. Like Canadian Preparedness is another one. That's all I know off the top of my head, but those are the Canadian ones. Yep.
I don't know if they're still doing this, but about 6 months ago, PV Mart announced that they're having it in store, and they also have a financing program, so you can finance through them if you can't afford
Okay.
it all up front. And they're gonna have parts available in store. So
Where's that?
PV Mart? It's like what?
Oh,
TSC.
really?
So you can actually go in store and get some help that way, probably.
Okay. That's
I don't
really
know
cool.
if they help with like if something's wrong with it, you might have to go through Harvest Right, but
Yep.
they have parts in PV Mart now. So
Oh, sweet. Okay. That's a huge benefit because that's.
yeah. But that was
right
like 6
around
months
this
ago. I
area.
haven't looked into that.
Yeah, I'll
what
look
they
into
actually
that.
ended up getting.
Yeah, that's sweet. Because it can be tough, right? Because it's not like, it's based out of Utah. It's not like something goes wrong. There's not someone coming to fix this for you, but they've got videos and other things that help you, and you call a tech and they can walk you through things, and based on my experience, they were pretty good that way too, like with my situation that I've had. Yeah, you have another question?
Yeah, I was just going to add to Berry Hill. They have the cheapest price on the Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers,
Okay.
just so everyone knows.
Okay.
But dealing with Harvest Right, I have to say that company really has good customer service.
Yeah.
They gave us extra Mylar bags and they gave us extra oxygen absorbers and oil, and because they really wanted the good name.
Yeah.
So
I think like it's probably, you're not just in my small circle, you're not the only person that's told me they've had problems. So I imagine they're really trying to iron out the kinks on this thing. As far as I know, they're the only like company that's really like mass producing these things. So it probably isn't an easy thing to do to have a home freeze dryer, right? But yeah, it is a fairly new company. So I believe there's a small, medium, large machine. Yeah, based on, once again, like your price range, your family size, what you would want to do. I think there's an extra large now even. I think that has 7. Yeah, like it's massive. So it has like 7 trays, I think. So what else can we do? I can let you guys try some apples, I guess, if you want. Do you want to compare them to yours right away, or what?
we can.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Question. All the errors, and you say computerized, does it hook up to your computer, or is it straight on the machine?
It's
that
straight
you're
on
looking at?
the machine. So if something is happening with your load in there, it'll beep and it'll pop up right away. So one time I had the heaters just weren't working at all, and I was like, what the heck? So all it was, when I had cleaned it, that's another thing. So you want to just clean it with whatever. I just use like vinegar water and just clean it with that. So when I was cleaning it and cleaning the trays, I just accidentally unhooked a little wiring harness. So then the heaters weren't working, but all I had to do was just plug that back in, and that's all it was. But it told me, and I could tell because it was just freezing. And I look in the machine, and it's just like frozen in there, not heating at all. I'm like, okay, that's not good. But overall, it's pretty. It knows what's wrong. It'll just tell you right away, and if it can, it'll just fix itself. So I've had something beep before and go away immediately, and then it runs and does the whole load perfectly. So, yes.
one more thing.
No, it's fine.
So I use mine for potatoes and squash, and then I throw them in the blender, and it makes the smoothest mashed potatoes and squash you can ask for.
Yeah. There you go. There's a positive, right? We've had enough negative, but I gotta be honest with you guys, right? I'm not gonna come up here and pretend I work for Harvest Right and say they're the best thing since sliced bread. Like, yes?
So when we're talking about meals, she showed the scalloped potatoes and stuff. I know when I make scalloped potatoes, I have cheese, there may be oil in it, there may be different things. How does that then work as far as the dehydrating process goes? Like if it's a pre-cooked type of meal, like say you wanted to do like any other pre-cooked meal.
Yep.
Do they recommend that, or do they want you to kind of like deassemble it and then make it afterwards?
You can do whatever you want. Like you could, since potatoes and cheese work, right? If you, I think that's just if it's like straight something that's straight oil, right? Like peanut butter or something like that. Like potatoes work awesome. So just because there's oil in them, it's still gonna be fine. Like as the finished product, as a potato, it's gonna work great. If there's cheese in there or whatever you got, it's gonna be fine. So let's say I wanted to make meals, I could do a bunch of potatoes on one tray, let's just go off what she did, throw my ham on another tray, asparagus on another tray, or you can even do the same tray. It doesn't really matter. It's fine. It's all gonna work. You can make meals that way. You can meal prep and have a bunch of meals that you can store away and have later, or whatever you want to do. Like they do recommend, like, you can do full meals, no problem. So, yes.
When you do the various things, like you said, you could do meat and potatoes, do
Yep.
they all have to be cut in a uniform size for that process to work? well?
It doesn't have to be like exact, but basically the idea, like, you're not going to throw a whole ham on there because it's now going to be trying to like suck out everything from like a big ham or whatever, right? Or like a full potato, like let's say it's this big or something. You're not going to throw that on there because you're not allowing the moisture to escape well. So it's really just slice things up, or like mashed potatoes work. It's just mashed potatoes on a tray, right? But yeah, generally the rule is just you kind of want, it doesn't have to be exact, just so that the moisture can escape some way, right?
Could you talk a little bit more about the process of exactly how it's pulling the moisture out? Is it in the freezing? Is it in the thawing? Like how exactly is that working? And also with, you mentioned vacuum sealing. If you do that, do you need the oxygen absorbers with that as well?
I don't think you need the oxygen absorbers for vacuum sealing because you're sucking all of that air out, right? You just do with these because you're not doing that. There still could be some left in there, but if you're vacuum sealing, generally it's all going to escape. You don't need to put an oxygen absorber in. The process itself, yeah. Once again, not an expert. That's why I had that video, just to kind of show you guys. I could probably like find some sources that can explain the entire process a bit better for you. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
It freezes it, and then as it begins to thaw, it draws the moisture out.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that so it's recorded?
So it freezes it, and as the moisture comes out, it brings it to the outside. Yeah. Right. Okay. So as it thaws, the moisture is pulled back out,
Yeah.
and then condenses onto the sides, like the steel drums, right? Because
Yeah.
that's where the cooling is. So when it's done, you see your ice on the outside.
Yeah,
of
you'll
the drum.
see ice on the outside of the machine,
Right.
or inside on the steel drum there.
Right, for sure. And I just wanted to make a comment too. It sounds like there's some inherent questions about food composition and meal composition. So we have a friend that's almost too passionate about freeze drying. And so you can have all your separate components, because there was a couple questions over here about it. But you can also completely freeze meals. Like if you love to make a certain type of casserole that is a one meal pan, or a soup, or these kinds of things, where you can literally freeze entire meal compositions in a bag and rehydrate. And a good way to get a sense of that is to just go to Cabela's or something and go through their freeze-dried camping section. And this is beef stroganoff in entirety. This is spaghetti and meatballs in entirety. So you can do your separate components, but one of the most exciting things that we've observed about the freeze-drying process is how accurately you can recreate an entire meal. And like you said, you don't actually have to be that careful. So like if you've already cooked it in a sensible way, it tends to freeze dry in a sensible way. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what we've observed anyway. Again, I'm not
you're right.
an expert, but okay.
Yep.
And rehydrating is the touchy part.
Yeah, you kind of.
Get into mush if you put
Yeah, if you just start dumping, you kind of want to add it as you, just carefully, right? Like don't just dump a pail of water on it and think it's gonna be great. Yeah, like slowly bring it back to its original form.
Do you have to heat it so you put the water in, right, at whatever pace, but then like, how do you actually cook it? Like, are you then, like, how do you heat it? Like, is the hot water hot enough, or are you, like, I know when I'm crownland camping or whatever, I can make do, but if I'm making a meal for my family or whatever, and I'm like, hey, let's have like 10 years ago lasagna, how do I heat it?
Yeah, I would just, like I haven't done I've only rehydrated like mostly like fruits and vegetables so far. Like I've never done like meat. I've just kind of like created a giant storage. But yeah, I don't know if you can speak to that
Boiling
a little
water.
bit. Yeah.
So I boil my tea kettle, and I have a double boiler if it's really sensitive, and I'll set the meal inside and put the boiling water underneath and just let the steam rehydrate
Yep.
it. Or if it's something that can have more water, like the mashed potatoes, they're awesome. So I'll boil the water, pour a little bit in, then pour a little bit of milk, and then put a bit of butter, and
Yep.
just start stirring. And it's by sight, so you figure out as you go.
Yep.
You'll have mistakes, but that's okay. Well, the butter, yes, because I'm picky that way. But I've done stews and I've done full meals, and they've been it's been leftovers that I freeze dry.
Yep.
So
That's what
and-
I've done.
and
done
it's
too.
great because they freeze dry. They look exactly how I put them on the tray, and I just very carefully use a spatula and lift them and put them in the Mylar bag, and they stay the same.
Yep.
It's great.
The
I was just making that a private one.
yeah.
Can you use your food saver, like the
Like the
vacuum
vacuum
sealer, to seal the Mylar bags, or do you have to buy, like, is that a separate sealer, or?
This one comes with the machine. So all you do, you just plug it in and turn it to whatever heat you want. And I just turn it to the very end, the max,
Yeah.
right? And then I just seal the bag, and then you're good to go.
So
No, I whatever.
So the question was, do you have to suck out the air?
Yeah, so for my setup, I'll just talk about what I do. I just throw everything in a bag, get as much air out as I throw an oxygen absorber in, just kind of squeeze the ends to get whatever I can out, seal the bag. You can get ones that seal with like a Ziploc or whatever, but I still seal it with the impulse sealer after. So I just squeeze whatever I can out myself, seal it with that, and you're good to go.
So Christy just told me use a hair straightener.
Yeah, you can do
and,
that too.
And my
That's another-
daughter does that with
Yep.
her Mylar bags.
Yeah, you
so
can do
a
that as
curling
well.
iron, hair straightener, whatever.
Yep.
Something about the vacuum bags too, though. If you're freeze drying, they go to close to a powder state. So you start freeze drying, you can be sucking powder up into your freeze dryer. Or not freeze dryer, sorry, vacuum sealer.
Oh, that's a good point too.
Yeah, so just be aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't use the vacuum sealer,
yeah.
so I don't know, but that is a good point.